fine. Yeah, you can hit. Let me come over here and hit this button. All right, we are going to get started here with all of our fun stuff. All right. This can be a blessing. We'll see how it goes. Okay. All right. All right. All right. So last time we were doing, this is conflict. Hello, Lubisha. We were doing conflict last week, and the topic last week was conflicting desires, and that's kind of the James 4 verse 1 talks about whence comes wars and fightings among you? Come they not hence even of your own lusts that war in your members? So the concept was conflicting desires. So that was, we're doing, Sergey, we're doing this 6-week series on getting along. Because we need to get along, right? Do you need to get along?
Is that necessary?
Is it necessary to get along? Well, I feel like Mama talks about getting along quite often. So I think it's pretty necessary. Maybe Stacy doesn't like to get along, but we need to get along, Stacy. So that was last week. Last week we did, the concept was conflicting desires. This week we're moving on to part 2. Again, we're doing 6 weeks of this. So we're going to start here with about 20-minute message about getting along. And then we'll shut off the live stream and we'll just have a conversation about how we can do better at getting along. So this is kind of part 1 and that's part 2. My kids have had a long day and they're not feeling very well. I have some sick ones. I have some tired ones, right? Amelia is not feeling well. Milos is not feeling well. How are you doing? You okay?
No, bad.
You're bad too? Why are you bad? You're sick? If you're truly sick, you can do your ABCs backwards, starting from Z. If you're really sick, can you do it? See, you're not sick, right? Right? How's Marco? Is Marco okay? Z. Can anybody do the ABCs backwards?
I don't know if I can do my ABCs.
If I had the chart, I could. If I had the chart,
You could read it backwards, couldn't you? So my family's not doing well. It is December 31st. It is the last evening of the year of 2026. So we're going to celebrate. Ready to celebrate? Ready? Milos, we're going to celebrate. Ready? 1, 2, 3. Woo! Okay, we celebrated, yeah? No, tonight we're going to have a get-together after this service to bring in the new year together, whoever wants to join us. I think my family's not going to stay because they're all feeling kind of crunchy. You feeling crunchy?
Me?
Well, you deal with 4 children that are crunchy, so it kind of default makes you crunchy, yeah? So anyways, so back to this. Today's concept is 1 minus 2 equals 1. Correct. How many people does it take to have a conflict?
do that too.
It takes at minimum 2, doesn't it? Unless you have a conflict with yourself, which I often have self-conflicting conflicts. That's probably a psychological disorder, honestly. So I have to get this moment here. This is not running. I need to get this going. Got should be rolling now. Let me get the live subtitles going on here. All right. I think that's better. That's better. Okay. Okay, so, like I was saying, removing one from a two-person conflict, you end up with only one person. It takes two to tango. I heard that. How many times have you heard that crazy story? I think tango is a dance, right? It takes two to dance. It takes two to have conflict, right? So if you remove yourself from the conflict, then you just have one person fighting with themselves. And it's a lot more entertaining to watch one person fight with themselves than two people, right? I would say so. So that's the goal today, is to try to take conflict and remove one person. So how do we do that? Well, we can go right back here to the book of James, chapter 1, and verse 19. That's where we're going to see our helpful comments for today. Slow. Slow. There's also a word we're going to look at. It's called swift. Swift. Swift and slow. All right. Swift is the kind of like kind of quickly a little bit, but in, you know, if you were to hold a piece of candy in my face and I wanted it really bad, what would I do? I would be swiftly take it, wouldn't I? Right? Intensely, right? The Bible says here in James 1, verse 19, it says, wherefore, now the wherefore is therefore because of what Christ has done for us, who he is, right? Of his own will, in verse 18, begat he us with the word of truth, that we should be a kind of first fruits of his creatures, like a representation of Jesus Christ on this earth, right? Because of that, wherefore, my beloved brethren, who's he talking to? Christians, brethren, let every man, so ladies, you're off the hook. You can do what you want, right? No. Every mankind, you're part of, Alexander, you're part of mankind, okay? Woe man. Right. Right. Do you know what Adam said when he first seen Eve? He said, woe man. No? Is that bad? Is that not a good joke? First time I seen my wife, I was like, whoa man, look at her. No? She's okay, I'll move on. No. Says, wherefore, my beloved brethren, let every man be swift to hear. How many times do I have a conversation, whether it's with Lubisha or with my wife or with one of my children, I'm not really listening to what they're saying. I'm listening past what they're saying. Let's pretend me and Alexandra have a conflicting conversation. I want to win that fight, right? So I don't care what she says. I want to win, right? That's how we do it. So if I was to stop and listen to what Lubisha has to say and then formulate my response based upon what he says, it can be different. But many times I already have a pre-programmed response of what I want to say before somebody says it, right? So we have Nikolai and Milos. They're going to get into a fight. You want to show them how to fight? You want to show people how to fight? No? It's very easy to fight, isn't it? Yeah, it is. So we have the pre-programmed argumentative spirit. Argumentative. Kakasakaji, argumentative, Subisha. Program. No, argumentovan. Prepared argument. Right. So we pre-thought, premeditated what we're already going to say. So no matter what you say, I already have my thoughts planned. The Bible says, don't do that. This swift to hear concept is the idea to actually listen where somebody's coming from, why they were hurt, why you offended them, what you did to cause them pain. So listen, all right? Swift to hear, and here's another one. This is a difficult one. Slow to speak. Nikolai, why did you eat that candy? No, it's just a conversation. So sometimes we'll say, why did you do that? And before we could even ask, why did you do, I didn't. right? There's already I had to do this, I had to do that, and there's this fast speaking, this fast rebuttal. Slow to speak, right? Maybe sometimes when you are accused of something, it's slow down. I do this all the time. Not the good side of things. I do the bad side of things, okay? Slow to speak. You don't have to give an answer today. You can think about it. You can pray about it. My wife is always like, "Hey, answer that tomorrow. Don't talk about it today." She's always trying to calm me down because I want to be swift to speak. I'm swift to wrath, right? But not to be. So it's to be more like what James instructs us to be. So, 3 commands. Ready? Swift to hear. I remember some men of God in my life. I wish you guys had some of those people like I had. Maybe you do. But I remember talking with these men of God, these godly men. And what really I feel like they had a lot in common between the different, I can think of Brother Gaddis, Brother Bishop, I can think of Brother Hainline, right? I can think of all these different guys. And what they had in common to me was their ability to really seem like they're listening. Have you had that in your life where someone was just like, "Yeah, Sergey, how did that make you feel?" And that you're really talking to them. And you spend more time talking than I do, right? And you go away and you say, "Man, this was a great conversation." But yet that person rarely talked, right? Because they just listened, right? And I think that's one of my faults. I'm a problem fixer. Did I say it right? I'm a problem fixer, solver. I'm a tempter to solver. I don't really solve any problems, but I'm a tempter. Right, so Alexandra comes to me, say, "This person offended me." And I'm like, "All right, let's fix this," right? But not every problem can be solved, So I had to learn this quickly in my marriage with my wife. She comes to me with a problem or something that's going on. Naturally, I want to fix it. But not everything can be fixed. She just maybe sometimes wants to talk about it. So, be swift, attentive. Okay, let's talk about this. What happened? Slow down. Speak slowly. And then slow to speak. You could say slow to respond. Right? Sometimes, again, me and Lubisha will get into an argument, and then I'm quick, and he's quick, and he's quick, and I'm quick, and we're having this battle of words where really it would do us all good to just slow down. I'm the worst of it. As Paul says, I was the best of sinners, the worst of sinners. I'm the worst of controlling my own spirit. That's probably true. Slow to wrath. What is wrath? Wrath? Wrath is not just anger, but wrath is like acting out your anger. Right? It's the Bible says you can be angry, but sin not. Right? The idea is to be flustered about something, maybe righteous indignation. That's a fun big English word. Indignation, Lubisha. Yeah, so righteous anger, right?
Righteous indignation.
But it says don't let the sun go down upon your wrath, which means don't carry your wrath over to the next day. Bury it, right? Every day you should dig a hole in your spirit and just bury it, right? Don't carry those things on to the next day because it's just going to keep getting bigger. If you don't bury it every day, you think about a relationship. Maybe I spent more money than I should have today. I don't know what that was about, Stacy. It's just, but if we don't take care of those anger issues or that problem every day, it's just going to build. So we're talking about, again, the title of Getting Along. That's what this mini series is about, is how to get along. It takes 2 people to fight. It takes somebody to slow down. One of the things that they do in the USA when it comes to police go to training. And one of the things that police officers do in their training is they go through this course that's about de-escalation, right? De-escalation is, say that you and Milos are in a fight. You guys are in a fight over Legos. Mama comes in and says, calm down, calm down. And she lowers her voice and she talks softly and she says, listen, let's talk about this. Hang on. Breathe. Tishi se, right? Breathe. Miri se. Is it Tishi?
Tishi's quieter.
Quieter. Luisha, Tishi se. That's right?
Yes, Tisha.
Tisha. Right? And so Polako beat, nice, slow down. And a police officer, when he comes into a domestic dispute, maybe two friends, two ladies are living in a house as girlfriends. They're like going to college or something, and someone steals from someone, and the police officer comes in, and he's trying to calm the two ladies down. Or maybe there's a husband and a wife, or maybe a son. There was a famous guy I seen in Hollywood where his son killed his mom and dad. Killed them. Think about how crazy that is.
That happened in Serbia recently. I think town is called Kruševac.
Kruševac.
Son come to his parents who are, let's say, higher level of society, take a knife and slaughter both of them, and then he jumps from the skyscraper, I think 10th floor or something like that.
Yeah, it's where does that come from? Let's go back to lesson 1. We have conflicting lusts. Somebody did not get what they wanted, right? There's a lust problem, a desire problem. So we have this part 1, struggling to get along. Now we have this removing number 1 away from number 2, all right? So we have 3 commands: be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. If we can manage to do those 3 things, a lot of conflicts would be taken care of on their own, right? Like police officers, they go into a situation and they intentionally try to lower their voice, talk slower, and that just automatically makes the whole conversation and situation try to de-escalate. Because naturally, in a fight, we're always trying to raise our voice above the other person or to assert dominance, right? And that's the way fights happen, is we put our dominance over someone else. That's just lust. That's desiring to have the last word, right? How many times have you been in a conversation and you say, hey, this is it, we're done talking about this. And then someone says, but, right? They want the last word, and you say, no, I want the last word. And they say, no, I want the last word, right? There's a lust, desiring problem. So, key observations with this verse 19. Listening comes first. It doesn't say, let every man be slow to anger. No, it says listening. Listening, slow to hear. Hear first, right? Speech is delayed, not eliminated. God's not telling you not to talk. He's just telling you don't do it right away, right? This is not talking about slow to speak as in slow down your speech. No, this is delaying your response. So, okay. Take a few deep breaths, and then you can try to speak back calmly, right? It helps, it really does. And then slow to wrath. So anger is restrained. So listening, delayed speaking, and restrained anger, right? The person, we always look at people like Jokic, the basketball dude? Jokic. It's my Serbianisms. Jokic, man, we look at him and we say, man, how talented he is to be able to shoot a basketball, right? We look at ninjas, right? Ninjas. You know what ninja is?
But they aren't real.
Well, there are some ninjas in the world. There are ninjas. They probably have ninja schools somewhere in Japan. Maybe China. So what happens is they control their body. Man, there's some people out there like ballerinas. Ballerinas are, because they can walk on their tippy toes. Crazy, you know.
I can walk on my tippy toes.
You can? Like a ballerina? Well, don't show us. All right. So, but think about these people. They do all this and they perfect their skill. But as Christians, our skill should not be in, yeah, we can have basketball skill, sure. We can have tennis skill, right? Or golf skill, or coloring skill, Milos. But the biggest skill that we as Christians should have is what? Self-control. Self-control. You know that? That's what we should do. So we'll go into the next part. We're going to quit here in a moment, and then we'll have some open dialogue. But some common reasons why we may not listen well is because we're already forming our response in the conversation. You assume, here's another one, you assume that you already know the other person's motive. Yeah, they just want to be this. They just want to, yeah, my sister just wants the inheritance. That's all she cares about. You know, we assume somebody's motive, right? Pride. What's the Serbian word? Ponos. Ponos. We don't think we have pride, but many times it's pride makes us defensive. I'm not wrong. I did not. No, I didn't. My wife's like, yes. Are you saying I have pride? What are you shaking your head at? Yeah. He's like, It's like, no, I don't. No, I just kidding. So that's a prideful answer. Yeah. Emotions feel urgent. Like if I'm not made right today, this will haunt me the rest of my life. If I don't fix this today, I'll be wounded the rest of my life. Your emotions, right? So to slow down. So listening requires patience, humility, and self-control. There's a thing when I was in Bible college, one of the professors, he pointed out how many of us young men sit in class and bounce our legs like this. Because we're just so hyped up on coffee and we're sitting there and we can't sit still and we're just, you know? And he talked about self-control, right? Trying to force yourself to sit in a proper position, trying to focus without looking around the room. Like look at how many your eyes are going where. Try to focus. Go ahead.
Can I ask you how people can focus today with mobile phones?
Yeah, it's really hurt the concentration, but we can. You know, we train our kids in church to sit still, try to focus. You know, they're still learning. You know, Marco's at least focused on something, right? Right. So self-control, really, that's another one. And then you often stop listening because you are more focused on being understood than on understanding. And listening slows down conflict. So listen. When you listen, misunderstanding is reduced. Emotional intensity is lowered. Like, I feel like you're listening to me. We may not agree, but I feel like you understand me. Yeah, that's what we're going for. And then your assumptions are exposed, and space is created for wisdom. Give time for your brain to contemplate, think about it. So when we don't listen, your words, you say things you regret. How many times have you spoken quickly and you say things that you can't regret? I've said things to Lubisha that I'll never get back. And he'll remember those the rest of his life. You know? I can't go. I can't go pull those out of his brain. The things that I say to my wife, she'll always remember that. She'll never get that. I'll never get that back. You know? Sergey, the things that he said to me. No, I'm just kidding. But you think about it. And because we responded quickly. And now we have to live with that regret. That the first time you heard your husband curse at you. Or the first time you heard your wife curse at you. Right? It was because it was done quickly. So slow down. Slow down. Lower your voice. Your tone matters. When your tone escalates, beware. It's kind of like a teapot. You guys always used to have those teapots that would whistle. Remember those old teapots? Right? Well, that tone tells you there's danger. There's hot water in the kettle. So when your tone rises up, hey, danger, danger. Let's calm down. Danger. All right? And then what happens is your anger becomes justified. So listening does not mean you agree. And I'll give you a thing to watch out for Americans. Okay? We Americans, we like to go like this. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Okay? Maybe not all Americans. I do. You know, uh-huh. Okay. That doesn't mean I'm agreeing with you. That just means I'm listening. I say, it just means, okay, proceed. Uh-huh. Okay. All right. You're not, it's just like, keep going. Not that I'm agreeing with you, but that's just one of those things that I do. So here's some questions that you guys online can ask yourself, and we're going to ask these to ourselves. Here we go. Why is it hard for us to listen when emotions are involved? That's question number one. Number two is, how does interrupting somebody cause conflict? Right? How does interrupting somebody cause conflict? Maybe Stacy is over here. She says, I think we should try. No, you know what, Stacy? No, we're not going to try anything. She's like, wow, I was just going to say that. Yeah, I know what you're going to say. How do I know what she was going to say? And now she's offended because I assumed what she was going to say, right? No, you see how interrupting can even cause conflict, all right? Yeah. So number three, what happens typically when you respond too quickly? You're short, right? And then how might situations change if you pause before you speak? And then we'll ask this question here, but I'll ask you guys as well. What part of James 1:19, swift listening, slow speaking, or slow wrath, affects you the most? And that's all we'll do for today. And we will shut this down. And we will see you guys next week as we continue on Wednesdays. I think maybe Luis or someone's next week. But we'll see you guys as we talk about this at a different time. All right? That's it. All right. Let's turn this off. Milos, you can